Shuai, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thank you, Jordan. Thanks for having me.
Nah, thanks for coming on. It's a real pleasure of mine. I keep seeing you pop up on social media, and I think we've had a good couple of chats back and forth. So keen to have a bit of a chat, mate. But how's everything on your end? Business been going well?
Yeah, good. I was just actually talking to a buyer of mine just today, like before we having this session. He is buying in Queensland, so I'm helping him in buying that region. It's kind of exciting now because everyone is not focused on real estate at this moment because of the interest rate, because of the election, and of course the war in European. So basically, everyone's attention is just somewhere else, not on real estate. But it actually created a really good window for me to purchase. Like, because I still remember just a few months ago when I was purchasing Queensland, the competition was just different level. And now I think I can just feel, a lot of people actually not focus on this purchasing at this moment. And of course, the flood actually, contribute a lot as well. It's good and bad. If you look at a good way, there's always a lot of windows there, to do your action. But if just focus on something else, you probably lose a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely a good time in the market cycle. I mean, I just recalling back to the 2019 election, I actually purchased like a week after the election came through. And I remember that time period. It was such a quiet time in the market because, I mean, at that point, there was a lot of talk of negative gearing changes and policy changes and things like that. So I think everyone was kind of sitting on their hands for a while. But I think you're bang on when there's certain things going around in the economy and lots of talks. It's a good time to sort of get in while you can because you're not sort of in that frenzy that we've been seeing for the last sort of 18 months. Kind of bidding on top of each other. So I think you're spot on, mate. And I guess in terms of that whole philosophy around building out a portfolio, if you had one yourself, whether that's incorporating buying in a slow market or whatever it might be, I mean, what would your own sort of philosophy around building a portfolio be?
Yeah, well, for myself, actually, I made a lot of mistakes before. I will probably share with that later. But for now, actually, what I realized that buying real estate investment is like you buy a business, right? It's just like a separate business. If you treat it that way, you probably understand that cash flow is very important. Would you like to buy a business that having negative cash flow or losing money? Yeah, so it's actually a question that every single investor need to ask themselves, including myself. I always ask myself, why should I buy this? But there's always some exception. For example, if I would have a chance to buy Google or Amazon many years ago, I probably would purchase that. There's no cash flow at all, but the return would be huge. So there's a lot of different strategies, but if you only started the game, right? If you really rely on the cash flow to sustain your portfolio to make it you can hold it longer, and then cash flow is always the first number one thing that I need to put on my list, the number one priority. And then I consider which suburb that can have a greater growth, so I can generate more wealth through the property. But cash flow, positive cash flow. Through the whole portfolio, it's not only about purchase one property that having just 7% or 8% or 10% yield. It's about the whole portfolio having a healthy cash flow. If you do have a good income yourself, then you probably would go a little bit negative side because you can contribute to your cash flow and sustain that. It's like if you are a PE or VC firm, there's no drama that you invest in Amazon or Google, right? Because cash is not a problem for you. But if you are just an ordinary, investor, let's ask you, if you would like to invest in Amazon, and there's 10 years, there's no rental yield or no dividend at all. Would you be happy to hold that share? You probably even I tell you that it can grow like 100 times in the future, but you probably don't have the faith to hold on to that until you see that. So that's why, for my own philosophy, cash flow, that would actually make you relaxed and make you more sustainable in terms of long-term investment.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I mean, even like looking back on my own journey, I was so like for growth, just growth focused for so long, which is great. And like as you start to build out a portfolio, I think is very important. But and I'm sick of talking about COVID now, but through that COVID period when everyone was losing jobs, I had 3 vacant properties at one point in time. If you don't have that cash flow coming through and you lose an income and you have to sell a property to just stay afloat or make sure that you don't, sacrifice too much, then, all of that growth, you're losing in capital gains tax and selling costs anyway. So transaction costs. So I think you're bang on, it's about being comfortable and sustainable within the portfolio itself, and then trying to get as much growth as you can out of there. So I think you nailed it. Now, if you had the opportunity to go back and sort of talk to your younger self about building out your portfolio, what would you go back and tell yourself if you could?
Well, as I just mentioned that I made a lot of mistakes before, even, because you might or might not know that I've been in the seller side for a while, and I was selling all sort of different properties, like even including off-plan apartments, townhouses, house land packages. So at that moment, I was thinking that, real estate makes no difference, as long as a real estate, you can make wealth through it. It's kind of true, but, there's a huge opportunities cost there if you don't buy the right asset. I didn't know that, and I didn't do a lot of research myself. I was just really listening to some sales agent, telling me their story, right? I was a bit lazy, so I didn't do my own due diligence. I was just say, oh, you told me this is good. Okay, then I just purchased it because I can afford that. And I made a lot of mistakes when I was purchasing my first home as well, because I was too emotional. But first home, you don't have a lot of experience. You probably need to make this sort of mistake to learn something, to learn the hard way. So if I could go back, say 10 years ago to tell me, hey, little Shuai, this is what you need to do, to make it correct or make your future much brighter. Then I'll probably need to say, firstly, do a lot of a study, invest my brain first, because if the knowledge is something really important, it's not about the information. It's actually about choosing the right information to digest that, to learn from the right person. So if someone actually made a successful business or investment through real estate, this is the person that you need to listen to. But also, you're not only listen to one; you have to listen to different opinions. I was too focused on the first impression, because the first guy who actually impressed me, he has a great portfolio of apartments. So I thought he was successful. But I didn't ask too deep why only apartments. Is it only because the land tax is too high, or is it any other reason? I didn't dig deep enough to actually understand why. So that's why I just put my name as a why. That's my name, right? I need to ask a lot of questions. Why? So yeah, if I could go back, definitely I need to ask myself, to invest my brain, to actually learn more before I do something. But of course, action is another great the factor or ingredient, because if I know everything, but if I don't act, then nothing would happen. And given that moment, given my environment, because I was migrant, I was studying here and then trying to settle down here. So I didn't have a lot of knowledge about investment or money at all, because this is not something that school would teach you at all. I was good at math, good at engineering, but good at my job on mining company as well, but just not on money at all. So yeah, definitely, train my brain.
And I think that is super interesting, because you do sort of see those sales guys that sort of, I don't know what you call them now, but some people call them like spruikers, selling off the plan apartments or house and land estates or whatever. And so I think it's very interesting that you've gone from, essentially having a job on the sales side of things and thinking you're essentially doing the right thing and telling the right story, and then sort of switching the philosophy. This might be a little bit off topic, but how did that process look in terms of, when did that light bulb come on for you when you go, okay, well, maybe we should invest in something else outside of apartments?
Yeah, I guess I'm not the smart person that I would have a light bulb moment. That was a really slow moment or gradually change because I was, I think I had a multiple time that I questioned myself: is this something right to do, or is this the right investment strategy? I asked myself, I think 100 times, if not 1,000 times, but I never seriously look at the question myself. I was, just, putting my eyes blind. So I just, trust the person that I trusted. So I said, oh, I just need to trust him. And I didn't really question why. Again, this is something that I didn't ask myself a lot. So I always build up something there. I think it's not right. And after, the 2017, event, a lot of the lending criteria has been, tightened up. And I realized that, okay, the property that I used to believe does not really have a good growth, but there are property that I purchased before didn't follow the guideline of my boss, actually had a really, really good growth. Then I really seriously start to challenge myself, because challenging yourself, I think, is least favorite thing that you want to do, because you kind of tear yourself down and put your ego down and smash on the floor, and that's not a great feeling at all. But I just feel that at that moment I had to do it because I was so wrong, and I made financial mistake myself, and I lose more than, I would say, $1 million through real estate. All the hard work that myself and my wife put together, it just disappeared. So I really learned the hard way. So that's why when I thinking that what I really gonna do, I was questioning myself, and had a really, really low period that I didn't want to talk to anyone, because I just feel that all the things that I believed was wrong. I'm not sure if you understand that moment. So that was a really, really hard year for me around 2017, 2018. But just because, a friend of mine, actually, he was having a migration business, and he actually really enjoyed the way that I communicate with my buyer, because he knew that I was truly, caring my buyer, my investor, and I really want to help people. That's why, some properties in the end, I didn't really want to recommend, because I just feel this is not a great investment. I wouldn't buy myself. How could I, recommend to someone else to buy? Even I need to, put bread on my table. I just need to make a living, but I just don't feel that is right. So that's why I quit my job and joined my friend's company and help him on the investment side, because he was focusing on the business migration. So a lot of investors migrate to Australia. So, and most of them actually doesn't speak English quite well. So they need help actually to get familiar with Australian market, get familiar with what sort of opportunities are available. So I was helping them to search a lot of development sites, also purchase businesses for them. Then I was talking to a lot of developers and the builders, councils. So then I start to gradually understand, okay, this is the game from the upper end, from the upstream. This is how they work the game and how they make money. Instead of being a retail investor, just purchasing something else that being overdeveloped by a developer that is selling you with overpriced the money. So then I suddenly understand, okay, this is the way that I should looking for. I really need to looking for value. No matter it's gonna be a unit or a house, you need to have its value, or it's better to actually purchase under value. So that's why actually I decided to just purely stand on the investor side or buyer side to help them. And luckily, I just met my mentor just a couple of years ago, Ben, as you know. So he really changed my career, and I didn't know even this career was exist. But now actually, helping people full time to purchase property, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell me a little bit more about that business transition side of things. So did you sell any assets in your portfolio and then like rebuild your portfolio and then decide, now I really want to start to do this for other people?
Yeah. For my own portfolio, actually, I was restructuring it like last year, but this year I also restructuring those. I would say is rubbish, garbage properties that I really need to get rid of. So yeah, I'm still in the way. Just need to find the right timing for that. Because some market is already coming back, so I can sell with a reasonable price to reduce my loss. Some other market, I would say, it will never come back in next 5 or 10 years. Then, it just really matter of when I'm ready to making the loan available to purchase the next property. So yeah, I'm in the process. But even for other people, it's quite interesting because when I actually before I migrated to Sydney, I was in Western Australia for a long while. As you know, I was studying mining stuff there. So I was being a metallurgical engineer with a big company there. So all my network are there. But because family reason, actually I migrated to Sydney again. And having no friends, but no network at all in 2020. I think that time the COVID was the worst here. But for me, I think it's good time to move because a lot of people are fearful. So I was just making greedy. So I made a really good deal when I was renting the property in the CBD, a really good location with a bargain that I can afford. So yeah, but when I moved here, I have no friends. I was just thinking, what I do next. I don't want to go back to corporate again. That's just not me. I really want to start my business, but I don't know if I could do it or not. But there are always friends that who interested in properties always want to ask my opinion. Hey, Shuai, would you think is this a good property, or would you think this is the right thing to do? What it would be your strategy to do that? Because he knows that I've been in the industry for a while, and I learned a lot of stuff. Some from the developers, some from other great investors, and some from the hardware that I paid for. So yeah, there's always friends that want to ask my opinion or my suggestions. And just one day actually, I just met Ben and just saw his course, and I was like, well, this may be something that I really want to give it a go. And then I just talked to Chris about the whole story. He asked me why I want to do that, so I explained why, and he asked me what I really want to be, and I explained what I really want to be. Of course, I understand that the buyer's agent service actually is not something that the Chinese community really adapted as yet. But I do see that there's a switch. There's a shifting because a lot of a buyer has been hurt by those I would say the rubbish investment before, and they now seriously thinking that who actually can provide them the best advice with their best interest. So actually, I was in the position to help them because I was the same people among them, and I really want to stand in their shoes to think what is the best property decision they could make, rather than just looking to some salespeople to making a wrong decision and lost tens of thousands or even millions of dollars.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, man. And I think you're doing a great thing and a great service for everyone, but especially your community as well. As you said, it's not a sort of common thing that's taken up here. And even if we even just look at Australia, it's like, I'm not sure the exact number today, but not that long ago, it was only like 3% of transactions go through a buyer's agent, where in America, it's sort of closer to the 45% mark. So it's definitely a big industry to grow. And I think it's starting to see how prominent having someone on your side to do the buying side and give you the due diligence, and have someone that's walked through your journey, explain to them what's a good investment, what's a bad investment, and be on your side, because they're essentially learning from your $1 million mistake, right? And that's the add value you get. And I think that's so important, is just to have the professionals on your side to help you through that process. So you're definitely doing a good thing there, mate. Now, I guess there's 1,001 of them out there, but if you had sort of one favorite property one-liner, what would it be?
Oh, that's a big one. That would be really hard. There are a few quotes that I really like. Of course, one is from Warren Buffett, as I just mentioned many times. Be fearful when others greedy, and be greedy when others fearful. But the one that I really liked is actually one saying that from Lao Tzu, a really wisdom guy from Asian China. He's saying that what is he saying? A 1,000 of miles journey started with one single step. So no matter, because what state you are, actually, it's really important that you really start to action and working toward to your goal. Because if you know everything, because sometimes I met a lot of investors, they kind of know okay, investment in real estate is good stuff. They need to do it, but they just never implement it. They just stay in there. But in my view, actually, doing nothing is also a decision. It's actually also an action. You decided to do nothing. That's also a decision. It's not like you didn't make a decision, so you don't make any decision. You still made a decision, which is doing nothing. So there's always a cost, opportunity cost associated with that. We know that money is inflated. So money is not as value as 10 years ago, even 2 years ago. My favorite lamb was always double the price. I can't eat as much as before. But a lot of people actually still just sitting there not doing anything. And the same concept I think applies to not only investment but business as well. If I didn't really give myself a leap of faith and jump out of my comfort zone and doing something that I really like to do, I probably would still being a house husband, just trying to raise my baby or doing something that I feel not valuable. But now I think maybe I just really want to give it a go, because it's something that I really want to do. I don't care that if someone would pay me or if I could have 1 or 10 or hundreds. I just want to start it, to have them start from the first person, whoever who want my help. I just start to help you. I start to give you my value, my insights, my experience. I just share my value first. If you do feel my value, you will definitely come back to me. So that's my philosophy. That's something that I really think, if you really want to do something, action.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I can't tell you how many people are sort of, I don't know, looked at sort of where Gameplan is now, and they kind of say, oh, it's such a short time frame to where you've got it to, and I'm just like, you didn't see the 1 step, the 2 step, the 2 or 3 years of coding and developing and thoughts and everything that went into it to where it is today. And so I think you're bang on. And a lot of people ask me, how do you start a business, or how do you shift careers, or how do you, and I just say, just do it. Like, just take that first step. Just talk to someone. Just get on the phone. Just make things happen. It's not hard. It just literally starts with that first action. So, yes. Mate, you've absolutely nailed the chat today, and that just means that I'm going to have to get you back on again sometime soon. But Shuai, thanks for coming on the podcast, mate.
No problem, mate. Thanks, Jordan. Thanks for having me.